XML. These three rules from the XML. These three rules from the XML. Okay. Now after that, come to the developer guide. Vignesh, you can create a file, react guide.txt. You can create a react guide text file. In that we are going to make some note. Installation is going on. Installation, you have run the command, no? If the command run, it's going on, let it go. Second command, yes. Second command will take some few minutes of time.
Okay.
Okay, then take know how much is. Courier boy will be there. He came with the extension. Check how many extensions are there and what is the total amount. This is how to set up React project. Okay, how to set up the React project. In that, the first step was, you can also write it further, it will help you. The first step was install Node.js. Second step was, first step, install Node.js. Second step, create a React folder. Step number 3, open CMD in React folder. Step number 4, Open CMD in React folder. Step number 4. Run npm run in CMD. The first one, run in CMD. Second one. So this become a guide how to set up a React project. Note, the first command. This is for what purpose? This is to set up. This is to set up React environment. To set up React environment. Second one, to set up the second one, to set up new project. Set up new project. To set up, to create React environment, to set up a new project. Install Node.js, create a React folder, open the CMD in React folder, run in CMD, this one, and this is the new one. Where project one is a folder name. Project one is a folder name. Project one will be a folder name, right? So till here we are okay. Go next. This all we have done yesterday. If he's missed out, please follow this and then get ready. If he's saying node is not updated, we have to install the node, remove the current node and install the node. Okay, next after this, we have to go around the JSX. First JSX. Before JSX, few terms are there in React that we need to know. The first term is called component. The first term is called a component. What is this component? Okay, what is the component? We have knowledge from the JavaScript side, from HTML side. We used to create the HTML pages in HTML in Bootstrap in CSS. everywhere our file extension was as a .html, right? What was the extension? .html. React.js says like whenever you are creating a file, whenever you are creating a file, your file should not be as HTML. Your file will be as a .js. Okay, .js. And if the file extension is a JS, like suppose you created a file as a .js file. In one file, how many functions you can write? In one file, how many functions you can write? Many functions, yaar. You can write multiple functions. Yes, sir. In one file, you can write multiple functions. So in the term of React, okay, in the JavaScript we used to create a function. Now in the term of React, that function will be called as a component. Function will be called as a what? Component. Now suppose you have created one function in one file, one more function in the same file, one more function in the same file. So in one file, how many functions? Multiple functions. Right? So you can say in a file, we can create multiple functions. Now suppose one function you have created, one function you can call how many times? How many times you can use? One time or many times? Many times. If you use a function only one time, then we can say only one time we can use. But if you use a function many times, what we can say? Many times we can use. So if you are using a function many times, you can say reusable. Correct or not? Reusable word is what? Reusable word represent a particular material you are going to use again and again. That is called a reusable. Correct. So what we reach to the final conclusion, like inside the React, we are going to create a file as a .js. File will be creating through .js, file name .js. And under the JS file, we will be creating the functions. And the function we can use many times, right? Now let me go to the internet and let me write one line. What is component? What is component in React? See, component are independent and reusable bits of a code. Components are reusable, correct? And independent bits of a code. What is trying to say is trying to say component is nothing but suppose you code write one time, that code you can use again and again. So how to use again and again here? If it is the function, then only you can call again and again, right? So look at here. They serve the same purpose as a JavaScript function. So here, they serve same purpose as JavaScript function. Same thing we discussed now. In the JavaScript, we write a function, and in the React, what it says is called as a component. In JavaScript, we write a function and we use many times. In the React, we can write a component and we can use many times. That's called as says. It is saying as a React component are reusable bits of the code. That is same like the JavaScript function. What is that? But work in isolated with the return as a HTML. What is saying? In JavaScript, when we write a function, it used to be only JavaScript code. But here in the React, it is not only JavaScript code. It is saying as a isolated with the what? Isolation and what? HTML code. Right? It will be combination of JavaScript and HTML together. Okay. Component come into two types. One is called class, another one is called a function. Class still I have not given the idea in JavaScript. Class I'll give the idea once I will start the class component. First we will cover the functional component. After covering the functional component, we will cover the Redux. Okay, and we will finish entire the complex part. And after that, I'll teach you separate few example of class in the JavaScript. And then again, I will come back to the class component. Else what will happen? It will become mix of all. You will not be differentiate the class component and functional component. So first we'll finish all the area of functional component. After finishing all, one complete set of idea will come in mind. Okay, in React using the functional component is called a hooks. Functional component is called a hooks. So entire functional component hooks and redux will finish. Then next step will come as a class component. In class component, before writing the code in the React.js, we will create 2-3 separate example as a JavaScript, and we'll understand how to create a class and how to call the class. And then we'll come to the React. You will not feel difficulties under the class component. Now after that, so it is still here. It is the component is of how many types? 2 types. One is based on class, another one is based on function. Remaining is their own theory, so leave that. Okay. So what we come to know? We come to know in the React, whichever the component we are going to write, it is just like the reusable function. Correct? Let's come write in this file. Okay. The component, the compo, NENT, the component in React is same like function in JavaScript. Function in JavaScript. Java script. Okay. The component in React is the same like function in JavaScript. Function in JavaScript. It is a reusable code. It is reusable code of JavaScript. It is reusable code of JavaScript. Okay. So if anyone asks you what is the function, what is the component, we'll say component is nothing but it's like it's a function as we used to write in JavaScript. Okay, and it is reusable. That meaning function is right, definitely we can do a reusable. You can write here in React component. In React component is collections of HTML and JavaScript code called JSX. In the React.js, the component you are going to create, the function you are going to write, that will be the combination of which one? HTML code as well as JavaScript code, and that is called as a JSX. Here I can add one more line. The collection of HTML and JavaScript code based on XML rule. Based on XML rules. Based on XML rules, and that is called as what? JSX. JavaScript and XML. JavaScript and XML. Hope you are writing the note. Okay, calm down. Now we wrote JavaScript component. What is that? And then we come inside call it a JSX. Write as a JSX. JSX. Full form is JavaScript and XML. JavaScript and XML. Now JSX come from where? JSX equal to JavaScript code will be there, plus HTML code will be there, plus XML rules will be there, right? And finally, after combining this all, what will happen? It will become a JSX. See, you are not going to write anything extra in JSX. HTML, what we have remember, remains same. JavaScript, what you have remember, that remain same. Now, based on XML rule, we have to write. We cannot write H1 directly. H1 must be in a division. Paragraph and H1 cannot be independently. It must be in a division. Rule of the bootstrap. How we follow the container, row, columns. Row will be inside the container. Container will be the part of body. That is also following the JSX rule only. That is also following the XML rule, no? Parent, child, and all. In one row, there can be multiple columns. In one container, there will be multiple rows. Study XML file has teach the same thing, no? Inside one user, how many users? Multiple. Assume like user list is a container. Inside how many rows? Multiple rows. This is the division. So inside how many paragraphs? Multiple paragraph. Next, after that, what we have the next? Next we have called JSX rule regulation. XML we wrote yesterday. Correct? There are three things to remember. Correct? XML, all tags are user defined. We can write here. Let's write here. XML rules. XML rules. Okay. The rule number one, all the tags are user defined. All the tags are user defined. Second, what is that? XML tags are case sensitive. XML tags are case SEN. SEN. After that, what is that? Sensitive or S. What is that? Sensitive spelling. Is it right or wrong?
Wrong.
No, that I'm also feeling something similar only. SEN SETIVE. Yeah, sensitive. SEN SITIVE. SEN SITIVE. SEN sensitive. SEN SITIVE. Sensitive. Okay. XML tags are case sensitive. That meaning lower case is different and upper case is different. The third rule, what it says? Every XML file must have a parent tag. Okay. Every XML file should have only one parent element. Parent, ELEMENT. Like if you are creating an XML file, in one XML file, number one, without parent you cannot keep. And if you are keeping the parent, there should not be multiple parent. There will be only one parent. Okay. That is called document structure. We will remember that. Okay, so hope ready.
Sir, before it said there is two terms there, but it's only one count.
Which one? Component. Type of component.
Type of components are the types of terms of letters to one.
Terms, which term?
Two terms in there. Before you said component.
Two type of component. One is class component, another one is function component. Not terms, type. Type of component, two type of component. Class component and function component. You can write here, for example, you can write here. One college, which one? Class component. It is based on class. And another one is called a functional component. Functional component. That is based on function. functional component will be called as hooks. Hooks and Redux is also based on functional. Every XML file should have only one parent element. Okay, so hope till here we are clear. Now come down below. JSX rule we have to write. The rules of JSX. Rules of JSX. JSX. The first one. Rules of JSX. Okay, the first one. What is that? Suppose in a component, component meaning is what here? Function. Okay. Yesterday file I will open and I'll show you. Then it will be much clear for you. We have one file called app.js file. Let me open app.js file. This app.js file, we have made some code here, there, and it was something like this. Look at here. So if this is based on something, let me modify it and then it will be helpful for you to understand and it will be helpful for me to guide you. Now suppose in this component, how many elements? This is a function only, no? Which one? App is a function. It is a combination of JavaScript code and HTML code. Same thing we have written inside the page. Now this app function you call one time also or 100 times also, no problem. Whenever you will call, it will give the same output. Same thing you have written in the description. Now it says like the JSX rule number 1 is if in a component more than one element is required. Okay, so in this how many elements do you have? H1, paragraph, bold. These all are called what? Element. Means tag. It's called a JSX element. In the term of JavaScript, it's called an element. In the term of HTML, it's called a tag. In the CSS, it's called a selector. Clear or not? Right? And in the term of React, it is not called only as an element. It is called a JSX. JSX element. Okay, JSX element. Okay. JSX element. JavaScript and XML, the combined you are doing. In that one tag will be called as a JSX element. It can be predefined also or user defined also. Okay. So the rule number 1 says, the JSX rule number 1 says, in a component, more than one element is required. More than one JSX element is required. Then it must be inside a parent element. So we have how many elements inside? 3 elements. And one is the division as a parent element, right? So it will work properly. But in this, if you will not follow the parent element, it will break down the rule of the JSX and your page will get error. Okay. So same thing we are going to write now inside the developer guide. At this place. Here in developer guide, right? Rule number 1. If in a component, more than one JSX element is required. If in a component more than one JSX element is required, then the parent JSX element, okay, then I will modify a little, then follow the parent JSX element. Then follow the parent JSX element. For example, if I come here and I write a paragraph H1 tag, we write call as a welcome, or maybe if you write here call about us, ABOUT, about us, and then I close as H1, I come down, write P tag, text inside, paragraph is closed, one more paragraph I write, this paragraph also have something, and this is closed somewhere, this paragraph also we write something, this is also closed somewhere. Now you see, In this, you are following more than one JSX element, more than one element, then rule says it must be inside a parent element. Without parent element, if you are keeping, then it will break the rule of the JSX and it will become a invalid document. Right, and this is the example. Okay, ready? We can go for the next. Next rule says next rule says like come down below. Same line and copy everything and paste here. In the case of 2, and number 2, you can say hash 1, this is the hash 1, this is the hash 2, hash 2, hash 2. If in a component more than one JSX element is required, then the parent element can be user defined also. Parent element, the parent element can be user defined also. Can be user defined also. As for example, hello tag open and hello tag close. Hello tag open and hello tag close. So it is not necessary every time you have to follow the division and paragraph and section only. You can use as a which tag. Any tag we can open and any tag we can close. At the place of the parent element, it can be a user defined also. Hope ready? Second one. Let's copy the rule number 2, paste below. Make it 3. If in a component more than one JSX element is required, then the parent element can be empty tag also. Empty tag also. Empty tag also. So here open and here is a close. Okay, ready? So how many rule we wrote? 3, 1, 3. One more we have. Array concept. You can copy the same. So hope we are writing. Written everyone?
Yes, sir.
Woman is symbol of mistake. You will forget after 3 hours. You will forget after 10 days. Will forget or not? Will forget easily. Because of that, people have the notebook company has made a company where they'll create the notebook. People will forget. They can buy a notebook. They can write in that. Later they can remember. In mobile phone, we have a sticky notes. If we forget, we can write a note there. We can see tomorrow. So make a note. Okay, let's come next. Now copy the same third rule and paste below. So then you will ask, out of these 3, which one is the best method, right? So out of 3, definitely first one is the best method, right? Then why we follow the second method? Second method we follow in those cases where suppose you have created the page already for division some CSS is written. For division some CSS are written and you are using the div inside a component and for division margin padding is applied. Now what will happen? For your component also margin padding will get applied. So CSS will break the page. In that case, if we don't want to apply some extra CSS, no problem. We can use our own tags. But this CSS will not be written. It will not impact in your component. Then this first and second is better. Then why we follow the third one, right? Third one we follow in those cases to speed up the application. Speed up. What is that? Suppose if your compiler will read this line, division they will read. Now for the division we have so many property and value. So compiler have to check into the dictionary what are the property values are there, right? They have to check all the property value. If any property you have applied here, that functionality should get applied. It will take little extra time to understand the property and apply for the division. If you are following the which one? User defined tag. Why we follow this? Because extra CSS should not apply here. Okay. In this, you are going to reduce little UI related. UI should not break. In that case, we are using the user defined tag. Last one, why we follow? Because if you follow the last one, it is following the rule of the JSX plus this tag is empty tag. Your compiler no need to spend some extra time to understand the tag and property and apply the functionality. Compiler just it's execute. Saying like, okay, empty tag, no any functionality. Go straight forward, bypass. No need to spend extra time to execute the code. So what will happen? Compiler will reduce little delay time, The page execution may be little faster, right? Those all are the logic that come from where? JSX. Okay. Or maybe suppose you are creating the multiple type of divisions. Further, once you are creating the component, I'll guide you. What is the use of actual of this empty tag? You are creating the multiple type of UI. You are creating multiple type of design and all. If you follow the division, what will happen? At this place, if you follow the division, where it will go? It will go to the new line. It will go or not? Because for division is block label tag. If you follow the label tag, assume label also will have some CSS. If you follow some other tag, for that some CSS will come. Suppose you are creating the navigation, you want to display in one line only two type of navigation. If you follow the UL, it will go to the new line. Will go or not? If you follow the empty tag, what will happen? No any extra property. Wherever you keep, it will be there only. So multiple cases, this is going to help us. Which one? Empty tag. No, array also we have, but array is a difficult. In array, what is the problem? You have to keep the comma after every tag. Comma you have to put, and in the program where you will apply so much of AI, where you will apply so much of brain, where the tags are coming and apply the comma. If one comma missed out, it will throw the error. So the last method what we have, we are going to write array. That is a difficult method. You are not going to use that. First is the best. Second is okay. Third one is moderate. You can use if you want. Okay. But the fourth one is just for the interview purpose. If anyone asks how many ways we can write the JSX, what are the rule of off we have, we can say we have total 4. Out of 4, in case which is the best, you can say definitely the first one. Apart from first, last one, not second, last one. Okay. Apart from last, second one. First priority first, second priority third, and the third priority will be the second. Okay, come now. Copy this section and paste after this. Keep as a fourth one. The parent element can be array also. Array also. Array also. The parent element can be array also. Now in that, keep in here in the note after every element, comma is required same as array. Last comma is not needed. Last comma is not needed. Now here we can open the square bracket. We can close the square bracket. We can keep a comma. After every element, comma is required as in array. In array, what we do? In array, when you create a square bracket array, what you write? You write the comma, no? Last comma you don't write. After last element, we never write the comma. Same thing I have written. After every element, comma is required as in array. Semicolon, last comma not needed or not required. You can write not required. Not required. Last comma not required. Okay, now come down below. This all belong to where? JSX rule. This all belong to JSX rule. This all belong to JSX rule. Now let's come. We have a next important term that people will ask interview, and in React in every pages you are going to use. That is a word called import. Import and export. Okay, import and export. Import and export. Import what we relate to our day-to-day life. When you say import word, you have any similar word related to import? Import meaning is what? Sending or bringing? Sending or bringing? Bringing, right? Import meaning we say we import the something defense material from the Russia. We import some goods from the Mumbai. We import the mango from the Andhra. Correct? So that what is that? We are bringing something from the Andhra. Correct? Karnataka, we bring mango from where? Andhra. Correct. Now, so for Karnataka, bringing the mango become as a import. Right? It's become as a import. And for Andhra people, sending the mango to Bangalore, Karnataka become as a export. Andhra people is sending, for them become as a export. And for Karnataka people, it's become as a import. Right? Except in the React also same. In this React also it is same. Okay, suppose you have written a function in one file. You have written a function in one file. You want to use in another file. Okay, you have written a function in one file and you want to use in another file. So mango growing where? Under the Andhra. And people are consuming where? Under the Karnataka. Right? So function is written in one file and we want to use in another file. Correct or not? Function you will write in user file and you want to use the function under the product file. Correct? So the product file has to bring the function from where? User file. Let me go here. Suppose this is a file. Let me write here. This is a file called user.js. User.js. Inside the user.js, one function is written called login, or maybe called a view profile. View, P-R-O-F-I-L-E, view profile. It is written in which file? It is written in user file. User file. Now after that, we have another file that is called invoice. Invoice.js is another file. This is the user.js file. Hold on. Let me write one more file called a product.js file. So one file we got as a user file. Inside the user file, what is the function? View profile. Correct? View profile. Now there is another file. That file name is called product. Inside the product file, there is a function. Function name is called product details. Product D-E-T-A-I-L-S. Details. So how many files? Total 2 files. One is the user file. Another one is called product file. P should be capital. Now we are going to generate a bill. Inside the bill invoice, we have to display the user details also. And we have to display the item details also. What are the product he purchased and what is the user details? What is the delivery address? What is the contact number? In where? Under the bill copy. So now the view profile is written in which file? User.js is a separate file. Product details is written under the separate file, product.js, and we want to use under which file? Invoice. So under the invoice, we have to import now. What are the function? View profile and product details. Clear? So the view profile is going to import a function from where? User.js as well as product.js. That is the requirement of invoice.js. Under the invoice.js, we have a requirement. We need to import two functions from two files. Correct? That is the requirement of invoice page. So invoice page is going to import. But at the same time, if user.js is not agree to give, then what will happen? User.js is not agree to share the function, invoice can call. Invoice cannot call. Simple meaning, if Andhra people don't want to sell their mango in Karnataka, Karnataka cannot bring it. Right or not? Similar way here, export. If the person is agree to export, then another person is ready to import. Right? If the seller don't want to sell, buyer cannot buy it. If the function is not export, if the function is not able to export, someone cannot import it. Now suppose this is the function written here. Let me write here call import. I will write here call import. What we want to import? No, we want to import this one. Call it what? View profile. From where? User.js. But the problem is here. What is the problem? See, you are trying to import view profile, but user.js is not ready to give it. Then you cannot call here. Import you are doing, but along with that, import, export is also required. If the product is exportable, then only someone can import it. If the function is exportable, then only someone can import it. Now suppose I will go in front of the function and I will apply here college what? Export. The function is written in one file, unable to use in another file. Right or not? That is called import and export. People will ask in interview purposefully whether you have a knowledge, you have written the code ever or not. Okay. So now import meaning is what? Import meaning I am going to call a function, I am going to bring a function. Export meaning is I am going to make a function as exportable so that someone can call it. So import and export both comes together. If the function is export, then only someone can import it. If the function is not export, someone cannot import it. Okay. So in this example, you saw we have a function called view profile. View profile function is following by which keyword? Export. Then only it is able to import. If you remove the export, the function cannot be imported. Okay. So same way in your language, you can explain in interview. If anyone asks, what is the meaning of import and export? We say simple, sir. If definition you are not able to create, then you can say, suppose I have a file called user. Inside I have a file function called view profile. I have a other page where I want to display the view profile. Then what I will do? I will export the function. I will import the function. Correct? I will call the function. So function calling is called as a import. But in React, there is a limitation. If you make export, then someone can import it. So before the function, there should be export keyword, and then only we can import it. So import meaning is bringing, export meaning is sending. Okay. A function will be exportable if export keyword is applied in front of. A function will be import if import keyword is applied in front of. So here function view profile is getting import from which file? User.js file. And here user.js file is agree. Yes, I am ready to send it. That meaning the keyword will say, yes, it is ready to send. Which keyword? Export. Now come down. You can write in the last. Okay, here also you can write that another line. Import. Import which one? Product details from which file? From product dot JS file. Now I will write here export meaning is what? Export, it declare a function or class, a function or a class, a function or class. It can be function also, it can be class also, or variable also. It is not only function, it can be variable also, it can be class also, and it can be a function also. It declare a function or variable or a class exportable. Exportable, that meaning able to call by others. Import, what represent? It bring, call, include. Multiple words have used. What is that? Import meaning is what? Bring. You can say call also. You can say include also. You can say here invite also. A function, comma, class, comma, variable from one file to other. One file to other file. It declare a function or a class or a function or a variable able to call by others. Okay, import meaning it bring, it call, it include, invite a function, a class, a variable from one file to other file. Okay, clear. In product, we have to mention as a export here. Then only you can do as a import. Okay, go ahead next. Next, after that, these all are the theories. Now, after this, only implementation. These all are the theory of a component. Component we wrote, import, export, what is that you wrote? Okay, JSX you wrote. Now, implementation is required. So, go to the, if the project is set up for how many people? Vignesh is done for you. Yours is not
I'm
done.
done, sir. Yes, sir, I'm done.
Okay, project you have done. Okay. Next, I think for everyone, Rahul, Saijyoti, Sasank, and Apsana, and then other Ajit and all have already set up.
Hi, sir. Actually, excuse me, sir. I'm Upasana.
Hello, Upasana. Okay,
Yeah.
Upasana.
That's,
It was
yeah.
what I told you. Something.
Apsana, yes, sir.
Apsana. Okay. Apsana. Okay. Upasana. You read.
Upasana. Yeah, Upasana is right. Thank you, sir.
Sorry. Its word completely get changed.
Yeah, it's okay, sir. It's okay.
Okay, so what we'll do is now we'll go to our project folder. Okay, project one we have. Go in the project one folder and see the folder structure. Folder structure, what is that? Inside the project folder structure is node modules, public folder, SRC folder. Okay. So suppose in the future, if you are developing a project, and if suppose someone will ask me, give me the code, source code. Give me the source code. You should not copy entire project one and give him. Because entire project one, if you copy, see how many folders are there. If I go to the node modules, see here, how many folders? Huge folders. It will take 1 hour to compress, right? And it will not allow to upload in here and there because the files will be heavy files. So whoever will give the file to anyone, they will not give the node modules. They will give only this much. Till where? Till public and SRC. Remaining everything except this one. College node modules. And then how it will work in someone else's computer? Because you have not given the main library. So he will download your folder. He will download the project one, but without node modules. And he will go to the project one folder. And in project one folder, what it will do? Hold on. In project one folder, right? Everything is there. But what is not there? Node modules is not there. So how to bring the node modules? You have to run this command. npm install. Once you do npm install, then this node modules will come. Okay. Once you do npm install, then node modules will come. And node modules will come. What are the library will come in node modules? All those library will come that you have used to develop this project. Under the SRC folder, whatever the functionality you have used, whatever the library you have used, all the library will get downloaded if you run the npm install. All the library will get downloaded. Okay, so whenever we are giving the source code to anyone, like based on your behavior, the third party will understand how much knowledge you have. Okay, if you are sending entire source code, they will understand, okay, you are the below poverty line. Okay, you are below the basic knowledge. Okay, so don't give entire folder, give only which one? Public folder, SRC folder, remaining everything, but don't give the node modules. Give project one, but delete which one? Node modules. And when you are sending, write in the email, download the folder, extract it, open the CMD, connect with the internet, and run npm install. Once it's done, then do the npm start, and after that, see the output. Then you will understand, oh, the person have idea. Okay. This is for whom? This guidance for those people who are going to keep experience before going for the interview. Okay, because people will give you some task. They'll give some task. You will do it and you will send entire node modules. Okay, then he will understand, oh, that's all, leave him. So don't do like that. Okay, send only public SRC except node modules while writing, while sending, write in the email saying like, okay, file is attached, open in CMD, run npm install, and after that do npm start and see the output. Okay, now npm install is for what purpose? To download the node modules. To download the node modules. Many websites you will see people will give the source code and they'll say clone the code. So what is the meaning? They'll give the one copy of original code, but node modules they'll not give you. After downloading, you have to install it. Okay. Okay. Next, after the clear, right? So when you are going to give the source code to anyone, don't give the node modules. Tell him like, okay, download the folder, open in CMD, and after that, do npm install. Remaining library will come down. After that, you can start and you can sit down. Next, what we are going to do? Hello. Hello. I is not available. Python is available. Yeah. 3.5 months. 3.5 months. 15 get course. Yeah. So what's your name? Yeah. I'll give your number to counselor, so we'll call it too. Zip file is only. You are going to send the public and SRC folder in the zip folder only. Project 1, you will send the zip folder only. But in the project 1, if a node modules will attach, node modules will be too heavy and it will take half an hour to compress the folder. It will take half an hour to compress the folder, and while sending also it's need very huge internet. Once you will download, he also need lot of internet. Okay. Now come. So now what we have to do? First we need to go to the project folder, and in project folder we have to write here code space dot and press enter. VS Code will open. Code space dot VS Code will open. Okay, open the file. Now see in this file, open the app.js file. In app.js, there is one function. Function name is called app. In app.js file, there is a function. Function name is called app. Right? Now in front of the function, not in front of the function exactly, below the function, below, in the end of the screen. At the end of the screen, one line is written called export. Export, we have discussed the same thing, no? Function, we want to use somewhere else. So what we will use? We will use the export keyword. So in React, export you can write here also in the same line, but instead of writing the same line, it's written below. It's saying like export, which function? App function. But before that, one keyword is applied called default. Okay. In React, what you have is, React says like in one suppose app.js file, there can be multiple functions. Out of multiple functions, which is the leading function, which is the main function? That function should be marked as a default. Okay, people ask what is the meaning of default? Then we can say in one file we can write multiple functions. So out of multiple functions, which is the main function, which is the leading function? that should be marked as a default. And export meaning is what? We are going to send it. And function app is nothing but the function name. So from this file, by default will be called which one? App function. And that will become as a leading function. That will become as a main function. Save now. Now where this app function is calling, we'll show you there. Hope written. Sorry, hope you saw that, right? Now come. Let me go to the file called index.js file. Index.js file. In index.js file, many places imports are written. So many imports are written. No? So what is the meaning of import here? Import meaning is it's calling something, right? It is bringing something. What can be? It can be a function name. It can be a class name. It can be variable name, right? That is come under the import. Ignore all the lines. Let's look at this line. It's written called import. What is that? App from where? App.js file. In my file, I have written purposefully as a .js. In your file, it should be only app, right? In your file, what you have? Only app you have, no? In your file, it is only app. But in my file, I have modified here app.js. So what is doing? It is calling a function called app function from which file? App.js file. It is under the index.js. Index.js to check. Okay. It's importing a app function from app.js file. It is not necessary. It can be only app. It will be any other function also. Okay. Now come down below. You have this line is written in your page. This line is written. This line is only written, no?
Yes, sir.
Right? Okay. See, in your case also, yours is little lower, higher version, 18. Mine is little lower version because my Node.js version is lower. Okay. But the functionality wise, it remains same. For that purpose only, I have kept this code to guide you. Okay. Now look at this line. It is saying like document.getElement by ID function. Are we aware of? Document.getElement by ID. Which ID? Root. So in your current document, it will find one division or paragraph or anything whose ID will be root. And inside the root division, this app function will be sent. Now to convince you in the better way, I have modified this. Look at here. Here also it is using the render function. Render is using or not? Here also using the render. Here my case also there is a function called render. Now in the render function, it's need two parameters. One parameter, the data, and another parameter called location. Render function for what purpose? To print the output. Render function is going to help you here to print the output in the browser. Now render function want to know what I need to print and where I need to print. If you want to print something, then you need to know or no data and location. So render function need content and location. Look at the first. What is written? It's written called as a app. Then you will ask why it look like as a BR. Look down here. In JavaScript, how you call the function? You call the function like this. Function name separated end by semicolon. But in the JSX, we call the function like this. Like is a tag. Like is a HTML tag. BR and HR. Slash should be there in the last. Look at here now. At this place, if you see, at this place, what is written? It's written as a function. Function written or not? So render function need first parameter as a content, comma, second parameter called location. Whatever the content will come under the root, it will be printed to this location. Correct? So now look at here. Under the app function, what you are returning? Under the app function, whenever we call the app function, what it will return? It will return this much or not? right? It will return the division to division. And this division to division will come and it will take the place here. Because here the less space we have less, we cannot write entire function here. So function is written somewhere else and returning somewhere else. So at this place, division will open, division will close, and inside multiple line of paragraph will be written. Instead of writing that, for example, if I write here call H1 and under the H1 I can write as a high H1. Now what will happen? So H1 become as a content and root become as a location. Wherever this root ID exists, inside what it will print? H1 it will print. But if you are developing a project, you cannot write only H1. You will have 100 multiple lines of code, dynamic. So for that purpose, what is called here? Function is called. Function can bring one line and function can bring 1000 line also. Now let me show you where is the root, okay? Let me go here. Under the public folder, you have a file called index.html. You can also see in your computer. In public folder, you have a file called index.html. In that index.html, there is a division. Under the division, ID is equal to root. Check. In public folder, there is a file called index.html. In that, there is an ID, division, ID equal to root. Correct? So from which file? From index.js file, render function is sending the content to this division. I will show you again. Root you found where it is? Under the public folder. Now look at the index file. Index file says, I will search in current document where is the ID called root. And wherever I will find the root, I will push inside which one? H1 as a inner HTML. By default, it will be as a inner HTML. So what will happen? In browser, it will display the output of H1. Now see the flow. User will come. User will open the website. Website will open in the browser. Browser or not? User will open the website in browser. Now browser read HTML. Browser understand which language? HTML. So browser will interact with which file? Index.html file. Browser will interact with the index.html file. In index.html file, data is coming from where? Index.js file. Look at there. Index.js file is sending the data to where? Index.html. And index.html is dealing with the browser. Now next line. Index is bringing the data from where? Index.js is bringing the data from where? App.js. 3 files are there, no? 3 files. App.js has the function. Function calling is happening under the index.js. And index.js is giving to whom? Index.html. And index.html is dealing with the browser. And browser will be fetched by user. So now 4 step is clear or not? User will interact with the browser. Browser interact with the index.html. Index.html get the data from index.js. Index.js get the data from app.js. App.js will bring from where? That is a tomorrow discussion. App.js is bringing one function as of now, no? Now, as of now, one function is there, right? In app.js. Here only, we will create the 100 component inside the project and all the component will call here only. Under which one? App. App will be the collection of your project. And the app will be dealing with the index.js. And index.js is dealing with the index.html. And HTML will deal with the browser. That's all. And browser will be in front of the user. 4 file. Linking is just understood or not? User interaction happen to the browser. Browser interaction will happen to the index.html. Index.html is getting the data from where? Index.js. And index.js is getting the data from app.js. This is the default structure. This is the default structure. Okay. Now from here onwards, we will study, we will create our own file, our own component, and we will learn how to link with the app.js. Okay. All the component will come under the app only. Whichever the file will create, all the file will come to app. And app is already dealing with the index and HTML. Right. For this, I will design a very good photos tomorrow. diagram where we'll understand, okay, how the linking is happening where to where. And after understanding the photo, we'll start creating the component. Okay. That is a tomorrow task. This video, study video, is there in the channel. You follow that. Listen once at least, it will be revision for you. Okay. Right, tomorrow. 1-2 more classes I have. One class I have pending class.